Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and greeting of peace to all my friends, family and anyone that's viewing my channel at the moment. I found a really great educational video. I didn't watch it fully, I just watched the first parts of it from brother William, Dr. William, and first time I came across his channel now, and I've decided to subscribe, and inshallah I will keep following his content. It looks like it's really good. So I don't want to, talk too much in the beginning. I want you to watch with me the video, get educated regarding speaking about Palestine in public. So let's see what advice that Dr. William will give us regarding that topic. So let's get started, inshallah.
In Palestine, and a reminder for all of those who want to express their opinions but who fear that their job might be threatened because their ways of expressing themselves might be misinterpreted. It is all down to using a very rigorous language, and this is what this video is about. For example, when people say Israel, it can be interpreted in many different ways, because are you talking about the Israeli citizens? Are you talking about the Israeli government or the army? Are you talking about Jewish people? Are you talking about Judaism? It's just very easy to extrapolate, and this is why people get accused of anti-Semitism while they were only talking about the current policies of the Israeli government. The key to avoid any misunderstanding is to use a very laser-precise vocabulary and back what you're saying with facts and figures. And also thanks in advance to all the anti-Palestine trolls who make this video much more visible. I never thought I would have to thank them, but yeah, it's just because even, this video, nothing is in my opinion. It's just cold and hard facts and figures. So if people are upset, they can be upset about the links in the description, but well, anyways, thank you. The first thing to know is that Israeli settlements are illegal under international law. So you have numerous United Nations resolutions, namely 446, 452, 465, 471, and 476, which affirm unambiguously that Israel's occupation is illegal. In particular, Resolution 446, adopted on 22nd of March 1979, has confirmed that settlements have no legal validity and pose a serious obstacle to peace. United Nations Security Council Resolution 2334 of 2016 states that Israel settlement activity constitutes a, I quote, flagrant violation of international law and has no legal validity and are an infringement to the Geneva Convention. In 2004, an advisory opinion by the primary judicial organ of the UN, so the International Court of Justice, also found that the settlements are illegal under international law. Second, Israeli settlements are illegal under Israeli law. And yeah, you heard me right. On the 9th June 2020, the Supreme Court of Israel voided, which means made illegal, by an 8-1 decision, an attempt by the Knesset, which is the Israeli parliament, to legalize occupation settlements built on unauthorized and privately owned land in the West Bank. So this is the case, if you want the reference, HCJ 1308/17 Silhouette versus the Knesset, link in the description. So the petitioners alleged that the Knesset was not authorized to adopt the law because it contained arrangements that were unconstitutional and inconsistent with international law, and that's for you, paragraph 22. The current government wants to expand the borders of Israel, but here you've got the Supreme Court of Justice of the country saying, no guys, you just can't do that, it's illegal. Israel, as any other state, has a diverse range of opinions within its society and even within the government. It's not an homogeneous entity. You have Israeli citizens, politicians, academics, and even religious figures who are opposed to the illegal occupation of land. They might not be in power, they might be a minority, but they exist. And again, this is to show that the government of a country or its army does not represent its citizens. Third, Israeli policies have been recognized as a form of apartheid. In a 2007 report, the UN Special Rapporteur for Palestine, John Dugard, stated that, I quote, elements of the Israeli occupation constitute forms of colonialism and apartheid. In 2009, the Human Science Research Council of South Africa reported that Israel's policies in occupied Palestinian territories correlate almost entirely with the definition of apartheid as established in Article 2 of the International Convention of the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid. But while the UN is widely recognized internationally, this specific entity in South Africa is also to show that even in South Africa, people are able to recognize that something's going on there. And I'm not even mentioning Nelson Mandela's quote about Palestine, which you may know. Fourth, Israel has a right-wing government which courts far-right leaders around the world and has enabled racist policies and behaviors in the society. Many Israeli politicians from the current government have or had friendly relations with leaders that are usually categorized as far-right. For example, Viktor Orban, Kaczynski, or Trump. And even the French Nationalist Party, the National Rally, regularly holds meetings in Israel. So just like Trump in the US, that particular government has enabled the amplification of racist attitudes in the society because of its discourse. And you have numerous Israeli newspapers and outlets mentioning, for example, the discriminatory practices against black Jews settled in Israel for decades, or events like the shooting of unarmed black Jewish teenagers by off-duty post officers like in 2019. In 2021, 46 black Jewish families faced deportation despite Israel having a right to return policy, which automatically grants a citizenship to any Jewish person. And there are numerous statistics regarding anti-black and anti-Arab racism and discrimination in Israel, which also affects the Christians, and even derogatory attitudes regarding families of Holocaust survivors. And yeah, you heard me right. I had, for my master's, a guest professor who was, he was self-describing as a leftist Zionist. And he teaches in Israel, and he would tell us that in the kibbutz and other areas, in the settlements, you have families of Holocaust survivors getting insulted by the new settlers, and like horrible, horrible insults. So that shows that there is a problem with the government unable to hold together its society. And despite claiming being a Jewish state, it does not even treat all its Jewish citizens fairly and equally. So again, this is not a religious problem, this is clearly a political one. Fifth point, the IDF, the Israeli army, itself recognizes that its soldiers are committing crimes. So several times, especially in 2013, 2017, 2019, 2021, IDF soldiers were convicted and jailed for things such as killing Palestinian civilians, stealing from Palestinian shops, or aggravated assault on Palestinian civilians. So the ADF is sadly notorious for its internal discipline problems. In 2018, for example, 1 in 15 IDF soldiers were at least jailed once for during that year, which is roughly 10,000 people. Even the army itself recognizes that some people are committing going over the limit, or committing some abuse. So the key, once again, is to be very specific. Instead of using the blanket term, which is Israel, talk about the Israeli government or the current policies, the Israeli army, parts of the Israeli society, and make sure you have the facts and figures to back your argument, so people cannot misinterpret you and think that you're talking about Jewish people or Judaism as a religion. And the same can be said for other concepts. What do you mean when you say Palestine? Do you mean Palestinian civilians? Do you mean Hamas, the Fatah? Or do you even know the relationship between all of these different entities? And what do you mean when you say Zionism? Does it mean that you refute the right of for Jewish people to have their own country? Or do you mean the current expansionist policies of the Israeli government? Are you talking about the ideology, or are you talking about what people have made out of this ideology? Because again, with any philosophy, with any ideology, you have people who are the founders, who maybe write the foundational texts, but then you know that with time, people distort and make whatever they want with it. So again, let's be precise. Get to know your history as well. You know that, for example, the division of Palestine was facilitated by the British during the colonial era. So do your research and go and find knowledge in other publications, articles, or even YouTube channels that are more specialized in history or political science. Again, this was just quick tips for people who want to express their frustration, their discontent, making sure, but who fear that the way they express themselves might have some consequences. To make sure that, look, these are the facts, these are the figures, I'm not making this up, this is not my opinion. Because the human brain likes simplicity, and in spaces like on the internet, in the comment section, we are very drawn to make things simpler, and because we're not writing an academic paper, but still, like we have seen that if we don't uphold a minimum of rigor to how we speak and what we say, well, not everyone has the patience to understand, what we mean behind these words. Express yourself, make your voice heard, but do it safely. I hope this video was useful. Again, there's much more knowledge out there. This was just like some quick tips I've noticed from all the people I know who wanted to have some tips on how can they navigate all these comment sections, or post things in a safe way. So I hope this video was useful.
Okay, yeah, very good video. MashaAllah, Barakallah Feek, Brother William, for this amazing video. I really enjoyed it. He was to the point, very factual, and I would like to make it very clear, like I've always said in previous videos, that we all originated from the same father, Adam. Therefore, we're all brothers and sisters, we're from the same family. There is no discrimination in Islam, and there shouldn't be any discrimination against fellow human beings, irrespective of their race or creed or gender or anything else, even the way of life that they wish to adopt. There is no compulsion in the way of life. There's no compulsion in religion. La ikrah fi din. So everyone's entitled to their choices, whatever they make in their life. But the only thing that we ask for is that you respect other people's boundaries as well. So you can't impose your way of life on others. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So regarding, because the brother William was saying you have to be very specific when you're basically making a remark regarding a people. When you mention Israel, you have to be very specific exactly what do you mean by that. Now, let's make it very clear. In Islam, Muslims are obliged to protect anyone that comes to them for aid, any support, protection, or whatever. So throughout history, since the government, the Islamic governments came about, from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu peace and blessings be upon him, and then his companions from Umar ibn Abi al-Khattab, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and so on. These were the so-called Khalifas. Khalifas is like a president, head of a government, and as an example of when the head of the government, Umar ibn Abd al-Khattab, liberated Jerusalem, which was Palestine, the occupied territories of Palestine, and he went into Jerusalem. He asked for the Jews. Where are the Jews? And the governor or the person that was handing over the keys said, well, we pretty much took revenge on them. We used the Temple Mount as a rubbish dump. This was the Romans because they were under Roman occupation at the time. And the head of state of the Muslims, Umar al-Khattab, Omar, to keep it simple for everyone, he then went to the Temple Mount to clean it up, and he asked and he invited anyone who are ethnically Jew to come back and be under the protection of the Muslims. And they gave them right to live side by side amongst everyone else and to practice their faith, whichever faith they choose. Some reverted to Islam freely, and some decided to continue, living as in under the Torah and the Jewish law and so on. And they continued to practice their faith. They continued to pray in their synagogues and share space with all the Muslims. And many actually were integrated into the government as well. So they were given equal rights, protection, equal rights, and they were allowed to thrive throughout the whole of the Middle East. And according to Jewish historians, they had their golden age at the time when the Muslims had their golden age, because they were persecuted across Europe and they found safety amongst the Muslims, protections with the Muslims. The whole idea of the social system started when the head of state of the Muslims, he was walking in the street and he's seen an old Jewish man begging in the street. This is how the social system started. And the head of state, imagine, went to someone that was homeless and in the street and said to him, why are you sitting in the street? Why are you begging? And he said, I have no family, I have nothing, and I'm too old to work or, fend for myself. And he went back to the treasury and grabbed sacks of rice and wheat and barley and other resources. And he went to that man. He said, listen, this is the resources that we're giving you. And every week you come to us and we will give you this much money, food, sustenance, shelter, all that stuff. All these provisions were given. And then from that point, the head of state, the Muslim Islamic state at the time of Umar al-Khattab, basically drew illegal legislation that everyone is entitled to weekly benefit or weekly payments, and those who are in an old age, they have to get provision from the treasury. So the whole benefit system that exists now in the West and doesn't exist in the Middle East actually was born under Islam. Because we have a responsibility to protect everyone. Because everybody, irrespective of their faith, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of everything else, we are all human beings. So we're all brothers in humanity. You don't have to believe in God to get help and support. You don't have to be a Muslim to get help and support under the Islamic political, economic and social system. You're entitled because you are a brother in humanity. Like I said, we're all created from the same father. We all originated from the same father and mother. We're created from the same creator. Whether you believe in a creator or not. You know, as Muslims, we believe in Allah. He's the one and only true God. And so do the Jews. If you speak to an Arab Jew, he would say Allah. He would refer to God as Allah. If you speak to a Christian, he would also refer to Allah. Because the word Allah is just an Arabic word. It's an Arabic word which means the one and only God. One God. That's what it means. And he has many names. He has many attributes. But it's only one God. Which makes sense. Tell that to a child, it makes sense. It makes sense that you worship a stone or an idol, or you worship 3 and 4 and 10 or 100 or 360 gods. It does not make sense. You tell a child, through his little, in a very, even at a young age, he would know that this does not make sense. It does not add up. And it doesn't incline, it doesn't sink in with the heart. So, and the God gave us that, that compass. The inclination to know the truth, this direction, this compass that guides us to the truth. So if you seek guidance, you'll get guidance. So that's one thing. Now, the thing is, and I also said this in previous videos, the whole Zionist ideology started from a racist cult. They were inspired by the Nazis, they were inspired by white supremacists, they were inspired by a superior race. Create a superior race, or we are the superior race and everybody else don't deserve to live. Everybody else effectively were created as slaves for us. So we can do whatever we want. In fact, there are even below even the level of an animal. So an animal will have more respect and position than those other humans that were created. As if to say that we all different races came from different planets, and now we're fighting to conquer this planet. So everyone's claiming that they are the superior race. And you don't fight racism with more racism. The Quran is very clear about that. It tells us that Allah created us from a single pair of male and female and made us into nations and tribes so we can recognize each other, not to despise each other. The white is not superior than the black is not superior than the white, the Arab is not superior than the non-Arab, and the non-Arab is not superior than the Arab. We're all equal in the sight of God. The only way you can gain superiority is through benefit. You benefiting others. The more beneficial you are in the society, the higher you are in ranks, in status. That's how you raise up. Service to many leads to greatness. In this world and in the next. The more you are, even at work, if you're a professional, the more you are in demand, the more you will earn. It makes sense, isn't it? The market needs a professional. They're prepared to pay more for that service that you're providing than someone that's providing a service which is very common. It's unskilled. An unskilled worker, it makes sense that he would earn less than someone that invested maybe 10 years, 20 years, experience as an engineer or a medical professional, whatever. And he studied for a long period of time, got his qualifications, higher qualifications, and then got some professional experience. He'll be more valuable in the market, and the market will offer him more than someone that's unskilled. It's only fair. But it does not mean that you are superior. That means you look down upon people. What you should be doing is you should be looking at the people that are less fortunate and trying to bring them up. Not thinking, how can that particular individual benefit me? What's in it for me? You shouldn't be thinking that. You should always be giving, and every Muslim should be a giver, not a taker. The upper hand is far superior than the lower hand. There's a hadith that says, Al-Muslim al-Qawi khayrun min al-Muslim al-Da'if. A strong Muslim is far better and far more beneficial than a weak Muslim. And I'm not talking about physical strength only. I'm talking about religious strength, knowledge, education, technical skills, whatever it is, in all aspects, in a very holistic way. So when we decide to become a Muslim, for example, you have to adopt Islam holistically. You cannot say pick and choose. You can't say, well, I'll pray 5 times a day and everything else I will, do whatever I want. I'll take out a loan from a bank. I will get involved in riba. I will start doing gambling. I'll get involved in all this haram activity. I'll discriminate against other people. You can't do that. You have to take Islam holistically. That means you have to adopt all the principles of Islam, not just the religious aspects, which are the pillars of Islam, like praying, fasting, giving charity, going to Hajj, and all these things, and the declaration of faith, of course, being the first. But you also have to adopt the economic principles, the social aspects of Islam, respecting other people, always sharing knowledge. First word that came was Iqra, which means read, recite, proclaim, teach, share, all this holistically in one. So you have to be someone that's constantly living in this world as a student and also as a teacher, because everyone has something to share. Everyone's here on this planet, in this life, to be a contributor. Everyone has a purpose. And if you're still alive, that means you're still in the game, and while you're still in the game, you still have a chance to win the game. Which I'm not saying is a computer game here, but imagine that you have a purpose. You still have a chance to fulfill that purpose, and that's why God's giving you that chance and He's giving you that life. So irrespective of your age right now, if you're 40, 50, 60, 80, or even 100 years old, if you're still alive, you still have a purpose, and you have an opportunity to go on the right direction, fulfill your purpose, and gain that ultimate success of going to paradise. But don't just do it out of fear of the Creator, that you might go to heaven, or to go to hell, or heaven and whatever, or just for, okay, I want to go to heaven, this is why I'm fulfilling my obligation. Do it for the love of your Creator, because Allah gave you so many blessings, and if you give thanks, God will increase you. Believe you me, I was in such a dire situation once upon a time, and I sat there with absolutely rock bottom, sat there quietly, and I started thinking of all the blessings, all the positive things that I have, and I started saying, Alhamdulillah, I have eyesight. Alhamdulillah, I still have my limbs, I can walk, I still have my health. And I was overweight, I wasn't like perfect. And I would just start thanking Allah for all the blessings that I have, although I was in a very hard stage in my life. And immediately on the same day, an opening came out, and I had an opportunity, and money started flowing back in again, and situations changed, and I can give you more detail on that. But this sort of situation happened to me several times in my life, till it made sense to me that this is the key. If you're grateful, God will increase you. If you can persevere and you see a positive in every dire situation, then Allah will make an opening. Whoever's God conscious, God will make an opening for him or her, and providing provisions from places that he least expected. So even this situation, this so dire right now in Palestine and Gaza, right now, and the Israeli IDF and the West are siding with the criminals, the terrorists that are causing all this facade, corruption in the land. Believe you me, Allah can see everything, and Allah is in full control, and Allah is the real superpower. So I don't really understand, it does not make sense to me why anyone is scared of Israel, or scared of America, or scared of the British or the French or anyone else, and not afraid of Allah, who created, who has full control of everything. Now, some Zionists will be laughing at me right now and saying, this guy is crazy. We have all this technology, we have all this superior power, and they grew arrogant, exactly the same way as Satan. Satan was the first racist. He was the first racist. He was a racist against the human race. And this was the first racist. So they're following the footsteps of Iblis. And anyone that normalizes with the Zionist terrorist state are also following the footsteps of Satan. They have also blood in their hands. They share the same fate as the terrorists, as the criminals. And there comes a time when silence is betrayal. Your inaction is betrayal. So this is it's not just a matter of, okay, we're not going to participate in the massacre against the Palestinians or the Arabs or the Muslims. We're not going to participate. We're just going to be bystanders. We're going to just stay silent, turn the other, just look at the other direction, pretend as if we can't see any, evil. Hear no evil, see no evil. Guess what? Your silence is betrayal, and you will be judged as part of the criminals. Maybe you'll get a lesser sentence, but because you didn't report the crime, you didn't stand up and prevent the crime taking place, you will also be punished. In my opinion, of course. Allahu A'lam. Allah's the judge. God is the judge at the end. He will judge between everybody. Only He can say who will go to heaven and who will go to hell. But in my opinion, if you're silent, you're also part of the crime. You have also blood in your hand. And it's even worse if you side with and you become an ally of those Zionists and terrorists that are perpetrating all these massacres against the human race. And believe you me, after they finish with the Gazans, and if they succeed, which they will not, because Allah will make the Gazans and the Palestinians victorious over the enemies of God. The army of Satan will be defeated in Gaza. This is the place where it's going to be their graveyard. They're going to walk into a trap and it will be all over for them. It will be finished. And the UK, the Americans, whatever, they're all going to be bankrupt. They're destroying the whole world over an unjustifiable war to kill and massacre innocent civilians. That's their target. They're not targeting anyone else other than to ethnically cleanse the Arab and the Muslim population. That is their agenda. Okay, so this is the reason why they're doing all this, to ethnically cleanse, reduce the world population. Believe you and me. You don't have to believe me. You're entitled to your own opinion, but time will tell. Hear back my words after 10 years from now. 10 years from now, you will start to see the signals that that's their agenda and that's what they're working on. And they're planning something big in 2030, because they do and some sort of, they perpetrate their next major event every 11 years. That's how they work. This is the cycle. 2008, add another 11 years, comes 2019, they have something, and then after that, they add another 11 years, you go to 2030. And that's how they plan. So 2030, 2031, you will see another thing. It may not be something to do with, these things that you get, or it might not be this war. It might be something different. But they always have something. It might be a financial crisis. It might be a financial crash. They always use different events or multiple events altogether, collectively, to achieve their next major world crisis. That's all I can tell you about this. But you know what? Even if they did succeed in massacring and ethnically cleanse all the Palestinians, guess who's next? Egypt is next on the target. That's been their plan since day one. Even before they got Palestine, they already had their eyesight on Egypt. From the Euphrates till the Nile. That was their plan from day one. But because they have that agenda, they will ethnically cleanse and they will constantly keep growing. And that's when they will declare the greater Israel. And that's when they will now be in a strong position to take over as the world superpower from America and the West and so on. The EU is going to crash. There's going to be a bankruptcy because Israel is going to bankrupt the US and the EU and Great Britain. They will bankrupt them. And then they'll take the center stage as the world superpower. That is their agenda, whether they achieve it or not. But if they do, and they achieve that level, then they're going to cause the biggest global oppression of all time. They will discriminate against blacks. They will discriminate against the rest of the Muslim population. And they'll keep moving in that way. And that's their agenda, to create the central stage and to prepare the grounds for the Antichrist, the Dajjal. They know this, but they believe that this Dajjal is their Messiah. And of course, we disagree. But unfortunately, the ignorant Christians, they will also fall for that trap. And some of the Muslims, they'll be in such a dire situation, they will sell out because they have weak faith. They don't have knowledge that some and very few people have. They'll fall for it. And they will follow the Dajjal, the Antichrist. It's a sad reality. That's what's going to happen next. So watch out. Every 11 years, you're going to see a major event taking place. But right now, where we are, you have to be aware that we all must take action. Even just speaking out, even just creating, videos, creating content, making other people aware, educating the people around you, uniting together. It's very important you do that. And don't discriminate. Don't start looking for differences between us. We're all from Adam. We're all Bani Adam. We're all children of Adam. And we're even closer relation between Arabs and Jews. Ishaq and Ismail were brothers. They were brothers, the same father Abraham. That's why they're Semitic groups. That's why it's anti-Semitic to criticize even the Palestinians and the Arabs and stuff, because that's the real anti-Semitic. That's when you criticize the Palestinians. And many Palestinians share common heritage between Ishaq and Ismail, meaning they're also ethnically Jew as well as ethnically Arab. That's a common thing. Even I have ethnic Ashkenazis and ethnic Bavarian Jew and Egyptian and Arab and European. One of my grandmothers is Scottish, descendant from King Robert Fleming and Alexander Fleming and so on. So I've got lots of relations of so many people from all around the world, which shows that we are all related. And if anyone does a genetics test, they'll realize that they have different percentages of different races. It's not something strange. It's not something unusual. No one's pure anything. No one's pure 100% Egyptian, 100% Scottish or something. No, we all mixed. We all came from different places in the world. Even in the UK, British, they're all migrants. They migrated to Britain. People came from Rome, Scandinavia, different places. The Celts from Ireland, Scotland. We're all mixed. We're all mixed. So it shouldn't be any, racist. Even Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, he was from Turkey, part of his family. His great-grandfather was Turkish. And he was a Muslim. And he was in a position of authority in the government as well in Turkey, in the Islamic State at the time. Islamic government. So we all together, and subhanAllah, and he becomes the racist. He's the one that anti-Muslims, and then you have Rishi Sunak, who's, a spoiled child, a brat. He's arrogant. He believes in, he's the superior guy because of the wealth that he has and inheritance and so on. It's all nonsense. This is all racism. The whole caste system in India is a racist, structure. You can't discriminate against someone's birthplace or his skin color or his ancestors. We're all equal. We all need each other. We should be completing each other. Everyone has a strength and weakness. No one's perfect 100%, good at everything. We all need each other. We should complete each other. Even doctors need mechanics. Mechanics need engineers. They need salespeople. They buy stuff. They need, supermarket staff. We all are interdependent, not independent. You can't just live on an island and say, well, I can serve myself. I can, if I'm sick, I can, take care of myself. If I need this, you can't do that. We have to exchange skills, cooperate together to make the world a better place. And that's what I'm trying to tell you right now. Because a lot of people start saying, saying to me like, it's okay for you, you're free from this matrix, whatever. But for me, I've got this family, I've got children, I've got to look after, take care of them. I can't think about others now. I've got to think about myself. And it's because of that selfish thinking. That is why you're not progressing in life. That is why you're stuck in the matrix. That's why you're still slave to the system. And they want people like you. They want more slaves, obedient slaves like you, that are silent, that don't want to rock the boat, just want to accept the situation as it is. It's not like that. You have to basically think outside that and say, well, I'm going to look for someone that's less fortunate than me, and I'm going to reach out to that person and help them up to at least my level. If not, push them even higher. You should love for your brother, love for other individuals in the human race, love for them more than what you love for yourself. That is the way, and if you do that, believe you me, Allah will give you more. He will raise you even higher. Service to many leads to greatness. If you do that, that's how you succeed. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people say to me, okay, give me this X amount of money so I can put a deposit on a house. Well, are you homeless? Don't you have a home already? Are you not working? Why don't you do something with yourself? There are people out there that don't have that opportunity. They don't have a house. They're entitled to get help. They don't have that opportunity of working somewhere else or getting a source of income. They deserve help. Why should I be helping you, oh greedy person, to put a deposit so you can do more haram, so you can borrow money from the bank? Why should I buy you a house? Why should I buy you a brand new car? Don't you already have a car? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. These are lazy people. I'm not telling you to go out to find people that are fake beggars in the street that don't need any help. They already have a house from the council. They already have, financial assistance, but they're just out there just to beg because it's an easy way for them to make money. I'm not telling you to help those people. I'm telling you to look hard to find the people that are sincerely in need. Help them, and Allah will give you more. God will give you more. God will even bless you. Even if you're a non-Muslim, even if you are a non-Muslim and you do kindness to others, God will reward you. Even if you don't believe in God, He will still give you. He will still give you a reward for this world. So there's no reason. You don't have to be a Muslim to give out charity. Anybody can help others. Just for the sake of humanity even. Not even help human beings, help animals. We're told so many stories of situations where a lady, she mistreated a cat, and God just basically refused all her worship. And she was a Muslim, and He refused. He said no, she's going to hell. The Prophet told us that she's in hellfire because she mistreated a cat, and that's an animal. And then another woman who's just very sinful, and she gave water to a dog, a thirsty dog, and for that God forgave all her sins. So even showing kindness to other creations of God is very beneficial for you in this world and in the next. But if you worship in Allah, which is important, you pray and fast and do all these obligations, but you neglect the rights of other people, you mistreat others, guess what? Everything that you do may not be accepted. High probability it will not be accepted. Based on these sayings of the Prophet and the stories that were told, and from the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. So anyway, I went over too long, and I've gone off the topic a little bit, but I wanted to give you some insight, for the non-Muslims or the misguided Muslims, let's say, that I've taken Islam as some sort of a culture, and they don't really understand the main teachings of Islam. And those who are far away from Islam completely, I would like them, and I would like them to and invite them for that opportunity. They owe it to themselves. Just pick up the Quran, read a few pages, whatever you feel, and then make a judgment. Don't judge Islam or Muslims or Arabs based on what you hear on the mainstream media, because they have an agenda to push. They're just basically obeying their master, and their ultimate master is Satan, Iblis. The devil is their master at the right at the top. So don't take your knowledge from mainstream media. Yes, you can find out what they talk about, but you have to have a brain. You need to use some of your brain cells that are still left in your head and investigate and find out the truth behind everything before you make a decision. Don't take my word, go do your own research. I'm just giving you some pointers. Do your own research without prejudice, without discrimination, and then you make your informed decision. But we do not hate anybody. We do not hate Jews, or we want to, they destroy the stuff, destroy other races or kill all. This is complete, absolute nonsense that they're feeding you out there. Muslims, Jews, Arabs, Indians, doesn't matter, Africans, we all lived side by side in peace and harmony for thousands of years. There was no issue. There was no discrimination between people in the past. All this discrimination started, all this racist thinking happened in the past. Of course, in the past, you had odd skirmishes and wars and that kind of stuff. But these people, you have to understand, they were barbaric, you know, like the people in the past, they weren't so educated. There weren't any universities. People were just fighting to occupy each other's lands. This is all in the past, but it can't be happening today in 2023. And this sort of nonsense is happening. All this immature behavior, killing others, pointing guns at each other. All this violence is unacceptable. You know, it's totally unacceptable. So we should change. We should be thinking, how could we cooperate together? And if they dismantle this apartheid state, this terrorist state right now, everybody would live side by side in peace. Everybody will coexist. It's not like everybody that's lived in that land now for the past 50 years or 75 years, they'll be all kicked out of the country. They'll be living in peace and protection. There'll be law and order. You know, a good government would be in place that would represent everybody's interest, everybody's needs, and everybody would respect each other's boundaries. We can coexist together. I'm not saying to you it's impossible, or, you know, just, you know, what the Zionists are doing to the Palestinians will then take revenge on them. This is absolute nonsense. This has never happened in Islam. The Prophet Muhammad, when he was going into Mecca, even the people that killed, raped, tortured other Muslims from the past and stole their wealth, he did not seek revenge on them. He said to them, if you're not taking up arms to fight us, you have peace and you have security, and we'll wipe out all the debt that you have. We will not take revenge for what you did to us. The crimes that you committed against. So it's a clean slate now. We'll start a new page together. This is our country now. We'll all work together to make this place a better place. So this is not the way. Even in the films, even the Kingdom of Heaven, where you watch Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi. Well, the Crusaders, what they did to his sister, they raped and killed his sister, and they did so many bad things to the Muslims. But when he went in there, he didn't destroy anything. He didn't destroy the churches or kill the Christians or any of that, and he did not seek revenge. He allowed them to live. If they want to travel, they want to leave, they can leave. Give them the freedom to choose. You're welcome to stay and enjoy life with us equally, or you can leave. You can go back to your country. That is Islam. Peace. It means peace. Peace and total submission to the will of God. And if you believe in one God and you are peaceful internally and externally, and you submit your will to the will of God, then you are a Muslim. That is the meaning of the word Muslim. Exactly what the Prophet Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, said in the Garden of Gethsemane. He bowed down, put his head on the ground, and he says, I know that you can hear me. I know you can hear me always. He's talking to God. He says, but I bow myself in peace and total submission to you. I, by my own will, can do nothing. I, by the will of God, can heal the born blind and leopard. I, by the will of God, I can raise the dead, bring back the dead to life. I, by my own will, can do nothing. This immediately voids out any claims of divinity, because he is saying, I am just a human being. He's saying he's only a human being, and it's only by the will of God, inshallah, God's will. And his first statement is, I bow myself in total submission to you in heaven. So he's submitting himself as a Muslim. If you translate the word from English to Arabic, it means I'm submitting myself as a Muslim. I'm making a declaration of faith. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. That is what he said. But he didn't say Muhammad Rasulullah. He said La ilaha illallah and Isa Rasulullah. All the followers of Isa, Jesus, said that declaration. And so did the followers of Moses. They were Muslims. And not all of them were just Jews, ethnically Jew. There were also Egyptians that accepted the message of Moses. There was no discrimination. Many examples. I hope this information I'm sharing with you is beneficial for you. And I hope you, if you're misguided, to get guided, inshallah. And if you're in need or anything, I hope Allah makes an opening for you. And if I can support or help anyone, by all means contact me. I can do anything within my means. Of course, I'm always attacked or discriminated, have so many other issues to deal with as well. But I'm holding strong because I believe Allah will give me justice. And whatever I say, if I'm on the right, I'm not afraid. They can do whatever they want. I'm not afraid. Whatever's written for me, this is what I'll get. If it's not written for me, no one can harm me. No one can do anything to me. Alhamdulillah. So I'll leave you with this. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And take care. Bye bye.